I think we're competing. I think both countries want to be the premier country of the 21st century, and to do that, you need to be at the technological frontier, the technological leader of the century. That's where we're at. China wants to be there. They want to be a sort of bleeding edge frontier nation, and that's why they have this Made in China 2025 plan. And Bannon talked a lot about that. Peter Navarro's talked a lot about that, wanting to somehow sort of suppress Chinese technological advances. I think that's probably not going to be possible. And I think here in the United States, we need to focus on making sure we stay at that frontier. But this is a competitor unlike one we've had before. Really what China is, kind of like take Japan in the 1980s plus the Soviet Union in the 1980s. We have a country that is a military, an ideological, and economic competitor.
I don't know if you picked my brain, or maybe I was talking in my sleep loudly last night, so loud that you heard me, Jimmy, because I was thinking that we've been at war with an Asian nation effectively economically for 40 years because of Japan. You remember in the 80s, all the fear and paranoia in the United States that Japan was taking over the world. They bought Rockefeller Center. They were going to develop Central Park, literally into some sort of Tokyo proxy. But now we focus on China. We're always going to be at economic war with a lower cost industrial producer for the rest of our lifetimes, are we not?
Listen, China wants to continue to advance up the ladder. All right, so they are a higher wage country. They are at the leading edge in higher technologies, not just AI, but everything from jet engines to genetics. And what I find interesting is how easily we'll believe that other economic model will somehow succeed and the traditional American economic model will not. That certainly didn't work in the 1980s with Japan, which there was remember, there's a lot of talk in the 1980s that we need to adopt a lot more central planning. There was a Japanese Ministry of Trade. Everyone thought they were geniuses. They could pick all the right industries. We did just fine, and I think if we focus on what we do best, we'll be fine in the future. But listen. Bannon is focusing on the technology aspect. Navarro in the White House has focused on it. I'm not sure that's what what Kudlow and Trump are focusing on. So there is that split, though, in the White House.
Well, is it fair to say that you believe that China, and I know you're a big free trader, you made that very clear, but do you believe that China does steal intellectual property?
Oh, I mean, yeah, they absolutely do. Yeah. They do the forced technology transfer, but is the solution some sort of these kind of broad tariffs? Is that really going to change it? I mean, if you're attacking everybody, then there's no incentive for these companies to behave, at the behest of the government, to behave differently. What we should be doing is going after companies that we think are behaving badly, whether that means not allowing them to use U.S. products, closing them off from U.S. markets, including U.S. financial markets. I think that targeted approach is a much better approach than these big tariffs, which we don't seem to know exactly where it's going to lead. I'm glad Bannon was pressed on where the end game for the trade war is, and all he had to really say was victory. I'm not sure what that means, and I don't think neither does the White House.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.